Dragon Duel Finals.
And Mao Goto from Japan.
It's time to duel.
So, that is Asian against America. This Oliver Tomeko is a real beast. I have heard. He wins like 90% of the Dragon Duels he attends. And the other seems like a kid, like, yeah, I play cards. Tinea surgery, vanity's emptiness. So, Oliver looks like a military guy that is being shrinked, and while the Mao Goto looks like a that he can't even hold the cards. Oliver is a beast, so that's. There are years ago that they don't go to US, but I know he's really good. Have read the coverage, and if you also have, you should know. So let's see what time is for us. So what is his opening playing? I still don't know. I think we shall discover soon. So this here, so better, and then this, and then next turn this and this. So let's see. Just hello, guy. Put you in front of a car. He's sleeping. He's not even reaching the table. He's like, I cannot see. So what happens here? No one explained this game. They are eating. So they are running.
Welcome back. You're watching the finals of the Dragon Duel World Championship between Oliver Tomiko of the United States and Mao Goto of Japan. Mao's won the die roll. And has elected to begin. We've seen Oliver's deck in action before. He is, of course, playing Dragon Rulers, but so is Mao Goto. Both of them are running main decked Droll and Lockbirds, which is generally something that you're going to use against spellbooks, but it does have some uses against other Dragon Ruler decks, as Mao begins by pitching Tempest and Lightning to use Tempest's effect and grab Burner from the deck. So at this point, if he had a Droll and Lockbird, it might be a fine time to use it.
Please remind our viewers what exactly Draw and Lockbird does.
Droll and Lockbird, you activate it after a opponent adds a card from his deck to his hand outside of the draw phase. And after you do, players cannot add cards from their deck to their hand for the rest of the turn, and that includes drawing. Burn is up next to summon a blaster from the deck. And if I had to guess, I would say that Goto definitely has a Super Rejuvenation waiting in there somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and banish both Lightning and Burner to special summon Redox back from the graveyard.
There comes the Exceed Summon for Dracosac.
One material detached. 2 tokens on the field. All in all, a pretty good first turn. But what would make it even better is if he has that Super Rejuvenation.
Doesn't look like it. Looked like he already ended his turn.
Yep, that does not look like the face of someone who's about to draw 4 cards. And Oliver's up. Starts off with Lightning, discarding Tidal. That's going to get a Tempest from the deck. Now keep in mind, since it was summoned by a baby Dragon Ruler, that Tempest can't attack, so he's going to need to do something else with it. Taking a quick peek at his hand, it looks like he's got Dragunity Corsica in there, which could get him a level 8 Synchro monster, but at the moment, I am hard-pressed to think of one that would be particularly useful.
He looks absolutely confident, and he really can be, because he has not yet lost a single match this weekend.
Alright, he's got Dragunity Corsica on the field. Looks like he is going
Oliver
to go for the
Tomiko
Synchro
the
Summon
Beast.
after all.
It's obvious that
Clearly
the
knows something
speakers
I
are
don't.
Americans, so they root for him.
He clearly does, because he's sitting in the final and you are not.
He's sitting in the final and you are not.
So looking over his deck list, his choices are Scrap Dragon, Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler Archfiend,
Goes for Crimson Blader.
and Crimson Blader. Now, Crimson Blader does not get its effect if it does not send a monster to the graveyard by battle. So what he's going to need to do here is get enough other dragons on the field to take out the 2 tokens first before Crimson Blader can beat up on Dracosac and activate its effect.
So right now, just
That
summon
is
3 dragons.
a Blaster and the effect of Stream to bring out Tidal. He's moving very quickly now. He's got his own Dracosac. Detaches Blaster from it to summon 2 tokens. Banishes 2 more dragons. That gives him a Tempest. But Goto has the effect veiler to make all of this, not necessarily for naught, but a lot nowhere near as good as it would have been had the Crimson Blader successfully resolved its effect. Still, he's in good position with Dracosac, 2 tokens, Crimson Blader, and Tempest on the field, though Tempest will be returning to his hand at the end of the turn, which incidentally would give him a free space to play more monsters.
The magic. He has dun 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 dun.
It's early on, but it actually seems like a pretty tight spot for Goto. Not having the Super Rejuvenation in his opening hand along with all of the discard effects really sets you back. And he plays yet another discard effect, discarding Lightning along with Stream. And Tomiko has Max C, so he's going to be drawing more cards for everything that Goto does. Tempest is on the field, so that means 1 draw for Tomiko.
So
And then he takes a quick look at his extra deck. This is a tight spot because you want to, defend yourself, but you don't want to leave yourself in a position where Crimson Blader is going to win the game single-handedly.
And at the same time, you don't want to give your opponent more cards than you absolutely have to.
It's a pretty ugly situation. But he's going to go ahead and banish Tidal and Blaster, special summon Redox. He's going to use both of those effects
so now he
to get another
should
Blaster and a Stream
just
from his deck.
what is it? Oh, another Redux. He should just go Big Eye into the Tempest.
And in this case, he's going to go with Big Eye. And while that does let Tomiko draw, it is going to give him a chance to steal the Crimson Blader and run over Tempest. Tomiko does not have a Veiler for it.
Oh, don't want to Vader right now.
And it looks like Crimson Blader
Whoa.
is going to resolve its effect. So Tomiko is not going to be allowed to special summon level 5 or higher monsters for his next turn. He can still tribute summon them, though. And I
No,
wouldn't be shocked
he
if we
cannot.
see just that. Also wouldn't be shocked if the Crimson Blader is immediately destroyed with Dracosac's ability.
He cannot summon by tribute.
Yeah, it looks like this is one of the another one of those duels that is going back and forth with every turn.
Crimson Blader is destroyed by Dracosac's effect. Now, he can't attack with Dracosac, which keeps the Big Eye safe for now, but he can still tribute summon a Dragon Ruler
No.
that's large enough to defeat it.
He cannot.
He's going to go ahead and detach. That gets him 2 more Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. 1 face down card. Oh. Crimson Blader stops. Alright, so Big Eye has taken over the Dracosac, which was then tributed to destroy a Book of Moon. But Tomiko still has 3 tokens remaining, and next turn he will be free of Crimson Blader, and can use those tokens to great effect if he's got the right tuners. Next, Goto's going to discard Stream, and it appears to be a title. Summon another title from the deck. And next up is banishing Redox and Stream to summon back a title. Redox has yet to use any of its effects this turn, so he's going to go ahead and get a Reactant. Now, just to be clear, those 5 cards on the right are his graveyard. They're not on the field. His field currently consists of 2 titles and a Big Eye. And with the 2 titles, he could, conceivably, summon Mermail Abyss Gaius. He does play it in his extra deck. Going to discard Reactant along with Blaster. Get another dragon. There's a Redox. He could also summon Gaia Dragon and start punching through damage. He's got a lot of options at this point, which is basically the signature of the Dragon Ruler deck. Right now it looks like he's trying to see if he's got another dragon summon left in him. Because if he does, he could have Mermail Abyss Gaius and Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger and take out all 3 tokens. So he's at least heavily considering the possibility of doing that. Banishes his own Dracosac, which is a wind monster, along with Blaster to summon back Tempest. At this point, he's used, I believe that's all of the adult dragons. And by banishing Blaster to get a Blaster, that is the last of his adult dragon effects for the turn. He's opting to leave Tomiko with 1 Mecha Phantom Beast token on the field.
Destroy the token.
Or so it seems right now. Yep, he's moving to main phase 2. Summoning Mermail Abyss Gaius. And I guess that means that these last 2 are going to be used to make another Dracosac. There they are. And he has just enough monster card zones open to use its effect if he so desires, which he does. That's certainly an imposing field.
Destroy the token. Destroy the token.
And a confusing one due to his messy graveyard situation there.
Yes, the giant pile of dragons. The one on the right, that giant pile of dragons. The one on the far right, this is banished cards. The next one over, graveyard, and all the Xyz monsters. That's his field. And to finish things up, he attributed 1 of his tokens to destroy the last token on Tomiko's side of the field.
Tomiko has 4 cards in his hand, all monster cards.
He's got plenty of things in the graveyard, though. The tricky part is going to be getting over that Abyss Gaius. Attack points really matter in this particular matchup. And if you have the biggest guy on the field and it stops everything else, then you might be in trouble. Oh, and Goto also has Max C for Tomiko's Stream effect. It means he's going to be drawing for each special summon this time around.
Yeah, it seems that he really turned around this duel. And
Yep.
like 2 turns ago, he was in a very tight spot, and now it looks that he made a nice comeback.
Certainly has. And Tomiko looks like he's got an idea of what he needs to do here. But he can't do it this turn without giving Goto so many extra cards that it would become insurmountable to win. Dracosack's still invulnerable. And he's going to fill up his last monster card zone by special summoning Tempest back from the graveyard.
And there
But
comes a Maxi.
Tamaiko's got a Maxi of his own.
So
Alright, so just to be clear, Maxi is in the graveyard. It's not in play.
Yeah, how did that... Oh, that is the graveyard.
Yes. That's the graveyard.
Very, very, very confusing.
And it looks like an all-out assault is in order today. Dracosack attacks over the title. Big Eye attacks directly. Both of them connect. Tamaiko only main decks one Swift Scarecrow. That's about the only card you could have to stop what's going on right now. Looks like we're just checking in, making sure the scores are correct. And after Mermail Abyss attacks as well, Tamaiko's down to 2,600 life points. Sorry, 2,200 life points, correction. Alright, so they've traded Maxis for 2 turns. We'll now see.
Although Godo got a lot more out of his than Tamaiko did out of his.
He certainly did. Froze Tamaiko's turn. And Tamaiko has an awful lot of dragons at his disposal. And Godo has another Maxi.
another Maxi.
That's-
Chalice.
That is an unfortunate turn of events for the American duelist. But he fights back with a Droll and Lockbird of his own. So that's going to stop all drawing from here on out. For this turn, anyway.
But he cannot search.
Blasters on the field, Tempest up next. He goes ahead, picks up a Dracosack, and just as soon as he does, Godo activates the effect of Mermail Abyss. And that might turn out to bite him
These kids
if
are playing really good.
Tamaiko can summon enough dragons to get his own Big Eye out and steal the Abyss. Basically, he forced Goto to use his Mermail Abyss effect early to negate Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosack, so that he could get through the real monster that he really wanted to play later on.
He has the 2 dragons.
He's got him.
He already has Big Eye on top.
Yep.
Now, what is he thinking about here? What would be the other choice?
The other choice would be a second Dracosack. I don't think I'd do that unless I was going to use it to destroy Abyss. I think all things considered, I would rather have Abyss on my field.
He agrees.
Now this is a particularly good thing to steal with Big Eye, because if you have Abyss, even if your opponent has enough dragons to bring out their own Big Eye or whatever, Abyss is bigger. It can just negate the Big Eye's effect. So there's a very good chance that Tamaiko is going to get to keep that Big Eye. Or rather, that Abyss. He has activated the effect of Abyss. However, we have a pause in play as Abyssgaios' effect had been activated previously in the turn to negate Tomiko's Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosack. And it is, while it is a quick effect, it is once per turn.
You can detach, negate it.
All right, looks like the judges are going ahead and reconstructing the situation. Looks like we are on our way to rewinding back to the way we were before. And when all is said and done, I expect we will be back in Tomiko's main phase 1.
Main phase 2. He already attacked. Secondly. Why not making Big Eye on the Dracosack?
Yeah, Tomiko's reading his own Abyss guys from in his extra deck to make sure that.
Yep, to make
I mean
sure
that's
he's
one
in
of
fact
the things. His opponent's card is in Japanese.
Yep.
So it's an easy mistake to make.
Yep, but everything's fixed up. And we are back in action, and just as soon as Goto's turn started, well, Tomiko went ahead and activated that Abyssgaios effect.
Oh.
Now the downside of that is that he won't have it in case of a Big Eye.
And he gave Goto one more dragon in his graveyard.
He did. But I think what he might be thinking about is whether or not he wants to see what Goto would have targeted with
Okay.
Dracosack
So
before he made the decision.
now activated the Abyssgaios, and then after
Or
Oliver
rather, he could have just tributed
Big
the
Eye
Dracosack
F.
itself and made the thing a moot point.
That's interesting. Armory Arm.
That's Armory Arm, made using a Mecha Phantom Beast token and an effect veiler. Armory Arm can equip to a monster to increase its attack points by 1,000, and when it destroys that an opponent's monster and sends it to the graveyard, damage is inflicted to its former controller's life points equal to that monster's original attack in the graveyard. And that is
He should
how the
not
duel
be
was won.
able to.
That's an interesting card choice.
Yep. Dragon Ruler duelists generally play one copy of it. At first it was there actually to help them to beat Obelisk in the case that the opponent played Obelisk, but it wound up staying in.
That's
Because,
stupid.
you know, if you got a token and you got an effect veiler or a Dragunity Corsica, and your guy can't beat their guy, then what are you going to do other than make your guy huge and burny?
Why? They play Armory Arm just to OTK your opponent because you put it on your opponent's Dragonsack or so and just smash all 3 dragons on it and you win. So it's going to win Magoto after half hour. So let's go to game 2. So let's start. So let's start game 2.
We're back. This is Duel 2 of the Dragon Duel World Championship Finals. Malgoto is just one duel away from taking the title of 2013 Dragon Duel World Champion. Oliver Tamaika will be going first this time, and side deck-wise, I expect we'll see very much the same thing we did last time around. He's probably going to put in Swift Scarecrows. We might see Lightning Vortex. Definitely see Vanity's Emptiness. And on Malgoto's side, he's got a couple interesting choices. He has a copy of Archlord Christia in his side deck. Archlord Christia, it prevents all special summons while it's face up on the field, and if it would go from the field to the graveyard, it goes back on top of the deck. So it's a reusable trump card, if you can get the tributes for it. It has another summoning condition, but that's only for if you're playing a fairy deck.
So basically, he would have to tribute summon it the hard way.
Yep. And looks like Oliver started off with Sacred Sword of 7 stars, banishing a blaster, grabbing a blaster, and discarding it for Stream to bring out Title. Seems like a far better start than he had last time around. And there's no Max C so far from Goto, although he looks like he's
Oh,
threatening to play
Vanity's
one.
Emptiness.
Tamaiko drops
Colossal and Vanities.
and immediately synchro summons Colossal Fighter.
Here comes
That is an
Vanity's
interesting play
Emptiness.
this early on.
Interesting. I'm not entirely sure what he's up to over there, but if I had to guess, I'd say the face down's Vanity's Emptiness again. Or maybe not. Maybe he's just going to have some fun with Max C.
He
and draw
has
some
the Max
cards.
C.
All right. Goto discarded Burner along with Redox to get Blaster out of his deck. Its attack points match Colossal Fighters, but he wouldn't want to try to trade them off in battle because Colossal Fighter will just come right back. Goto has a Super Rejuvenation, and that's all for him. Maiko's back up, and there's a very tempting target on the field. I have a feeling, though, that he's probably not going to attack it right away. If he did, he could get a free 2,800 in. But first, he's going to banish his Stream and Title to bring out a Blaster, and Goto has his Maxi at this point. Which offers Oliver an interesting choice. He could crash the Colossal Fighter into Blaster, which it looks like he's going to do. He does Special Summon again, which will give Goto another card, but he's also going to hit him for 5,600 directly. And that's a pretty big deal this early on. Looks like he's debating more dragons or just leaving his two 2,800 attack point monsters on the field, which is what he opts to do.
And more dragons would have given Goto even more cards.
Yep.
So, and
So
he
it's probably for the
already
best.
he already has quite a few cards to try and make a comeback here.
And he's going to start off by discarding Stream and Title to special summon another title for his deck. We got no Max C from Tomaiko this time around, so Title hits the field. Next up, it's Lightning discarding Tempest, or possibly Tempest discarding Lightning. We won't know till we see what he does. It's Lightning discarding Tempest, and he's added a second Dragon Ruler to his field. Alright, we're going to go for an Xyz summon for Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac. Good defensive option.
Also would give him a possibility of getting rid of Colossal Fighter, wouldn't it?
Yep. Colossal Fighter doesn't come back if it's destroyed with an effect. Go to...
First things first, getting some tokens.
Oh. He detaches, special summon 2 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens, and tributes 1 to destroy the face down card, which was not Vanity's Emptiness. It was Deck Devastation Virus, destroying all 1,500 attack and lower monsters on Goto's side of the field and in his hand, and that he draws until the end of the third turn after activation. And he gets to see his opponent's hand, which is Super Rejuvenation, and a Deck Devastation Virus of his own. Now that took out took out Max C from Goto's hand, which could be, a huge turning point in the match.
And it took out the token.
Yep.
Which makes Dracosac very vulnerable right now.
Goto has a lot of things to think about right about now. Not least of which that his opponent's going to get to see every card he draws for the next couple turns. And that he's probably not going to have access to some of his best cards.
If you consider that that is more the secondary effect of the cards, it's really, really, really...
It's vastly
So
unpleasant to be
right
on
now
receiving end
the
of.
opponent has no
Yeah.
Maxis and no Veilers,
unpleasant
so
is
he
a
can
good word
just
for
go for greedy moves with the problems.
Goto's decided that the best course of action is more dragons, and he banished 2 copies of Max C to bring back Redox from the graveyard.
Yeah. To slightly abuse an old saying, if dragons don't help, you're not using enough of them.
And it seems that Goto is taking your advice to heart as he brings out Blaster from his graveyard next. Is he going to go for 3? I think he might go for 3. He's banishing Tempest and Lightning for a third Dragon Ruler. That's a stream from his graveyard.
Ooh.
And because he's banished Tempest and hasn't used its effect yet, he can get a Tempest out of his deck and add it to the hand. Alright, it's an Xyz summon with Redox and Tidal for number 11 Big Eye. He's activating the effect to steal Blaster, but Tomiko has the Veiler, shutting down what could have been a drastic comeback.
Yeah. If he would have
So-
gotten that Blaster, he could have done another Exceed summon. And that would have been a pretty strong position, even with the deck Devastation Virus on him.
5,600 damage and another Dracosac sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Battle phase anyways, he crashes the two blasters into each other. Sets a card face down.
That's probably his deck Devastation Virus. Yes.
Yep. Go ahead and tributing the Big Eye. But he hit nothing. Reactant has too many attack points. Now the catch is, Tomiko has that Sacred Sword of 7 stars, and if he plays it, his opponent's going to get to see the cards he draws, and anything that's 1,500 or lower will be destroyed anyways.
Right now, he
It's a
wants
little bit of a pause
Crimson.
from Tomiko, who normally seemed to just be barreling through his moves.
Even though I think he definitely got the better of this virus exchange.
Yep. He actually lost nothing to it. And he's using his reactant to bring out Redox. Next up, banishing Redox and Blaster to bring back the title that he discarded along with Redox. Now, with his banished Blaster, he could go search for a card that would normally be hit by the virus if he wants to, because it's not being drawn. But instead he's adding another Blaster to his hand, increasing the number of dragons he can possibly summon. Next up is Big Eye. Big Eye takes control of Dracosac. Dracosac turns to attack position.
And that was game 2.
26, and that's the second duel. We're all tied up in the finals of the Dragon Duel World Championship, and don't go away, the final deciding game is next.
So we go to game 3. So that's already 45 minutes. So maybe it will go to timeout. So there's quite interesting that every player here, when Dragon summons all in defense, that makes they're really afraid of Chalice and armor combos. So that's quite interesting. At the start you just slam at your monster in attack position. But in the Dragon Mirror match, usually they are better in defense. Cause you can get just destroy it. Would be nice to know how many Chalice Poros Maxi have been given this weekend. And now the judge is shuffling again. The judge on the left is seeing the cards, but the other is just looking to the front. So the fat guy is just giving to Majiko a bad hand, and the other is just
Tied at 1, Oliver Tomiko of the United States and Mao Goto of Japan have to go one more time to decide who will be this year's Dragon Duel World Champion. Goto, having lost the previous duel, gets to start things off with a face-down Speller Trap card.
so he's going to win. Tomachiko.
Tomiko begins his turn with what appears to be Burner, discarding Tidal, bringing out Blaster, but Goto has the Max C again, and is going to draw a card for every special summon from here on out this turn.
He should
Tomiko doesn't let him, sets a Speller Trap card, and ends his turn.
That's a cautious beginning for both of them.
It is. I'm not certain that Goto has enough dragons to do any of his combos yet. I was kind of hoping that, maybe Tomiko would play into the Max C and give him the cards he needs.
Never.
Goto simply sets a card, ends his turn, and the Blaster goes back to Tomiko's hand. Alright. He's banishing Blaster and a Burner in his hand to special summon the Tidal from the graveyard. It's going to let him get a Burner from his deck. And he's probably fairly certain at this point that Goto doesn't have another Maxi. And if he did, he certainly would have played it by now.
What could be his face down cards? I mean, if it would be the virus, he would have activated it already.
Well, he doesn't have a 2,000 or more Dark Monster to use.
Oh, good point, yeah.
So Duel is joined by Effect Veiler.
New commenter.
They team up to form
And
Colossal
there is
Fighter,
a virus again.
which takes a bite out of Goto's life points. And also, should Tomiko have a virus face down, it also makes that card now live. He sets a second Speller Trap and ends his turn. There's no reason to flip it right away, though, unlike you might with a big eye. Colossal Fighter is mighty big, and you can't really beat it in battle. He's probably going to wait for Goto to try to destroy it or take control of it before he tributes it, assuming that he does have a Deck Devastation virus. Goto simply passes his turn, either unwilling or unable to make a play.
Yeah, he really needs to be careful that he doesn't get into too big a hole here.
Yep. If you aren't careful with your life points in this match, you could find yourself on the losing end of a Big Eye War, in which the last remaining monster that's allowed to attack hits you directly for more than what you've got left.
Basically, right now, Tomiko needs only one more big monster. If Goto doesn't have anything to defend himself with, then this was a very, very quick third duel.
Yep. I mean, even something like a title could do it. And it's looking like he's discarded Burner and Blaster to summon a Blaster from his deck, but that Blaster can't attack, so Goto is still safe. That said, there are plenty of Dragon Rulers that can be summoned. 2 of them, to be precise, in the graveyard. And we see that the title and Burner are banished to special summon a Blaster back. This could be it right here. He's got one Swift Scarecrow in his side deck that he probably put into the main deck, but if Goto hasn't got it...
I think he asked for a second here to consider his option before Tomiko goes to attack.
Yep, he definitely wants to know which cards can and can't attack. In this case, one of the Burners can, the other one cannot.
Oh.
Burner attacks into Book of Moon. That's going to keep him in the game one more turn. But Colossal Fighter still hits. And just like that, Mount Goto of Japan is down to his last 2,400 life points. In main phase 2, he tribute summons a title by tributing 2 dragons and activates Super Rejuvenation to refill his hand.
Wow.
It's an absolutely devastating turn of events for Mount Goto, especially in the 3rd duel of the finals.
Devastating. I like this world in the coverages.
Look on Goto's face says, my deck is not cooperating with me right now. How do I make it cooperate? This is the time when you want to just have that genius flash of inspiration and come up with something that you'd never done before.
But he carefully considers all his options, doesn't panic.
Yep, he goes ahead and banishes Title and Maxi for a Redox. Maxi is Earth. But Tomiko has the Vanity's Emptiness. Now, Goto does have a lot of hate for that. He's got Mystical Space Typhoons and Twister. But if he hasn't got it right now, then he's not going to be in this duel long enough to use them. Having banished Title, he does get to go search. He could still mount a defense, but he'll have to do it without special summoning.
So
He
that's
can
it.
just take out 1 card off of Tomiko's field without having to special summon and without using his battle phase. He might be able to come back from it. So, for example, discarding a Blaster to destroy something along with a Fire Monster would get Vanity's Emptiness off the field along with whatever he targeted. So, for example, you could go for the Colossal Fighter, and that would also take the Vanity's Emptiness. Of course, Tomiko could just be waiting to spring the other Virus Trap.
What happened? Redux in his hand.
They're checking something with the judges right now. Not quite sure what that was about.
They're probably asking where the special summon, or the dragon that would have been special summoned, goes.
Okay.
Following its unsuccessful summon. And it looks like it's in the hand.
Yes.
Goto goes ahead and sets a monster. Along with a Speller Trap card. And that title's going to stay on the field because it was tribute summoned. So Tomiko has 2 attackers at the ready.
He's really in the driver's seat now.
Yep, but he can't afford to get too careless. Title attacks. Colossal Fighter attacks.
That's it.
And it's over. Oliver Tomiko of the United States is the
The
2013
first American champion is a
Yu-Gi-Oh!
kid.
Trading Card Game Dragon Duel World Champion.
It's quite. The speakers will be happy. He's quite serious. This kid are like robots. So, and that's the end of the Dragon Duel World Championship.